Here you see in my hands is Super Mario All-Stars, and it was sent to me as non-working. Can we fix it? This is open cart surgery. How are you feeling? You got John Riggs here. I thank you for watching with Open Cart Surgery. I get these donated games. I try to get them working again. Usually this involves cleaning them. That's not the funnest video ever, but if all it takes is cleaning it, that's all the better. However, sometimes you need to open them up, crack them open, replace stuff on top of them, and we'll see how it goes. So if you dig that kind of stuff, make sure you're subscribed. Thank you for watching, and let's check out Super Mario All-Stars. Let's see if we can get this working. There was a note included, and the note reads and as follows. It says, anyways, I have a game that needs your open cart surgery. The game I sent is not the game you would fix. I switched the carts so it would be a mystery. Thought it would be fun and suspenseful. Now, I know the board has a crack in it, but was hoping there is still hope for it. Like you did with Bonk's Adventure for the NES. Either way, fixed or broken, can you send the game back? So, apparently, this is not Super Mario All-Stars, which is too bad, because now I don't know what the game is, which means I have no idea, like, how to... Sometimes I need to know what the game is, so I know what parts I need to fix it, right? However, looking at the board, I can probably tell you what the game is. But we'll see. First of all, is it even worth popping it? Well, we'll pop it in. We'll pop it in. I'm using the Super Retro Trio 3 because it does all three systems, and... yeah, I heard the power thing kind of come on, and they got the light thing, but it's not working. Well, Super Nintendo games, there's a 3.8mm security bit. Sometimes they are also called a game bit, just because they're so commonly used for Nintendo. This works for Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64... Game Boy, other stuff too. So we will see if we can figure out. He said it's not Mario All-Stars. It's this one. Haha! Well, there's a crack on the board, huh? I don't see any. Oh, yeah, kinda. You can see it go right down there. Is that enough? Maybe? Well, I'm sure I probably have. Let's see, this is a... Oh, wait a minute now. This is a high ROM game. You can tell because of the J right there. Now, because there's a J right there, this makes this a high ROM game. So if you do a board swap with Super Nintendo games, you want to make sure it either has the J or the A. This one's a J, so I have to do a board swap with a game or with a board that also has the J there. I'll see if I have anything that works. I may. So here's the game we're going to replace. It's not Super Mario All-Star. We'll find out what it is, hopefully, if we fix it. There is a split right down the board here. This right here is the ROM. That's the only thing we need to replace. We're going to pop this out and put it in a compatible board. We got to make sure it has that J right there, though. Very common to have boards that look like this, that have the A in them. And this is probably just some, not this, but ones with the A. You'll find donor boards, like in typical sports games, with the battery backup, right? So the game's ROM is right here. This is just the RAM. Here's the CIC and all that, the capacitor, resistors, the battery, of course. Don't need to worry about any of that. We just want this here, but we need to make sure that it has a J right there because the J makes it a high ROM board instead of a low ROM board. It's very common to have the A there. I did find one of these, for instance. Looks comparable, right? Same stuff, you know. However, if you look on the side here, and it might have the print somewhere different, there's an A right here. This is a low ROM board. This one will not work. However, find something like this, has the J right there. And even though this one looks different, I bet this would work. I bet this would work. However, fortunately as it is, I already had a board that is the J and already has the little chip thing where you remove. So, I'm going to pop this out, pop it in here, solder it in place, see if it works. Alrighty. I'll be using one of these today that I was gifted. Super, super awesome and handy. So, I'm just going to take this out. There's already one missing because I was just testing it to make sure that I'm using this guy still. The little desoldering pump thingy where you have to plug it in place, hit the button, and it sucks up. It gets the job done. It's not as fancy as my other desoldering gun. However, this desoldering pump, less than $10 on Amazon. I have a link in the description below for all the stuff I'm using, by the way. And I'm just going to do that to all these pins. And I want to make sure it's nice and clean as possible, because when I take this out, I need this in full working condition to pop it in the other board. So I can't be worried about, you know, pins that are missing and stuff like that, too. So, you know what I mean? And if you did a good enough job, it should just be able to come out right like... you can just use your fingers. And it's not coming out. That's one stuck somewhere. One stuck. No, it's not. There we go. Yeah, it comes out just with your fingers. That's what I love about Super Nintendo and Genesis boards. Nintendo boards, you're not as lucky. Those are a pretty tight squeeze. Now here's the new board, and because you pulled it straight out, the pins will pop right in there. You want to make sure the writing's upside down, as if you're popping it in this way, all the writing goes upside down. That's just how they were done. I didn't build them that way. So like such, like that. Good to go. Uh-oh, not quite, not quite. Aha. It's going to be one of those, is it? This has two different sizes. You can see like it goes up to here or it goes up to here. The original game was only this much. This one has two extra, or like, you know. So they're still soldered on that side. I got to pop those first. Ooh, sure, every once in a while. Want to make sure you clean the tip of this thing too when you're done, because you don't want any leftover solder on the tip for sure, and definitely down the shaft of the desoldering pump. So you want to make sure that you clean it. And this came with a little wire wick that you just kind of, you know, put down the tip of this. And now it should be able to pop right in there. Writing's facing upside down. It sure is. Oh yeah, fits right in there. So now you flip it upside down. Of course, it's going to fall right out. You can bend one of them if you want. I'll go ahead and do that. I'll just bend this one here. And I'll bend this far one over here too. Just so it stays in place. Pop these on. Here we go. You too. Don't want you slipping around now. Alright, gotta solder these in place so the metal makes the connection. Now, this just happened, and this happens to be every once in a while. It creates kind of a bridge that you don't want or need. So when that happens, I usually just grab it so it melts on both sides and just kind of drag it over. And I might have to... See, there you go. So then it broke that, but now I need to break that. Okay. And that's what happens if you have a dull soldering iron, or it's just a lazy, sloppy job like I'm doing. Yay! Alright, so now in theory, this should work whatever it used to be. This is a new board, or newer board, that's not broken. The other one was broken. We replaced the RAM, still has everything else in place for the most part, and although it's missing a capacitor right there, which is, I don't think it'll have anything to do with this. Let's pop this in and see if it works. Alright, so start thinking about what this could be now. Is it Earthbound, Chrono Trigger? I mean, it's going to be a high ROM, and sometimes some RPGs are high ROMs. Has the battery backup. Came out in '93, apparently. Could be anything. Maybe it's Final Fantasy 3. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to pop it in just by the chip. When you pop it in, you have to face it away from you, so it's going that way. You can still put it back in the board if you want. In fact, you know what, since it's already here, just for the fun of it, you don't need to screw it back in place, but, so, you know, it's like backwards. There's the front of the thing. So he sent it as Super Mario All-Stars, but he said this is not Super Mario All-Stars. Let's see if it's working. Fingers crossed, here we go. Aha! It is Chrono Trigger! You clever rascal, you. Alright, I don't blame you for not wanting to send the Chrono Trigger cart. Alright, you got me. Too funny. You know, I had a feeling it was going to be something like that. And you did the right thing. You don't need to send the case by itself. You have the capacity to open it. You have one of those 3.8mm security bits. You could open it and then send over... I still wouldn't use this, though. I mean, I would use, like, any other sports game. Because that way, if something happens in transit, something happens in the mail, it gets crushed, it gets smashed. I've seen that before. You know, you still have your Chrono Trigger casing with Chrono Trigger... The legit game, it's on a replacement shell. It's on a replacement circuit board. However, the ROM is still legit, so that makes it legit. Now, this is going to come to that thing where people say, like, oh, but is it worth the same? The value the same? Everyone has their own opinion on that. I think if it's not factory fresh, if anything is replaced on it whatsoever, even if it's a new backing to the game, and which this one looks like it has, you know, 2 different shells, so it looks like that one is already that case. Replacement labels for sure, and even if all you had to do, and I'll go ahead and open it up here, you know, the circuit board, it's on a different circuit board, straight up. So I would say the game still holds a lot of its value, but I would at least you have to let them know up front. Now, if they're to open it up and see this, I'd be like, yeah, that's Chrono Trigger. That's what that is. I mean, you know, this part matches up, right? They look at the solder job on the back, they see my solder job compared to the factory stuff, and you're like, oh, I don't know, that's someone else did that solder job. Then, yes, it's not factory fresh, so I would at least let them know up front by saying, hey, just so you know, this happened, I broke the game, replaced the circuit board, but the game is still the same. It's not a repro. It's not a reproduction, because it's not, this doesn't have the window in it. It doesn't have wires sticking out of it. I would let them know up front, and it may not change the value of it whatsoever. To me, it would. However, that's just something for your consideration. You're probably not even wanting to trade it or sell it anyway. You bought this for your collection, and I don't blame you. Chrono Trigger is awesome to have in your collection. So I'm glad we got it working. I'm going to reach out to you. I'm going to send this back to you. Normally, under normal circumstances, I don't send stuff back. Not that I can't. It's just I don't guarantee things working. Sometimes I can't get them working, and it's like you pay to ship it, and then you're paying to send it back. That doesn't make sense to you, But we got it working. You did send over a couple of bucks for shipping. I will send it back to you. I'll reach out to you. We'll get a hold there. But if you have any games that are laying around that are broken and you don't feel like fixing them, you can send them my way. Check out the description, and also the About section of every video has my mailing address. It's not my home address. It is my mailing address. And I thank you for watching another one saved. Thank you for the Super Mario All-Stars. Clever.